began to happen. He looked at himself differently. In fact, the Torah itself, the whole concept of Torah, in a sense, is very much like a mirror, but not a physical mirror, a spiritual mirror. If a person looks into Torah, uses the Torah as a way to reflect themselves, they begin to discover not what's on the surface, but what's actually inside. The Torah is a vehicle to reflect the neshama of a person. So it says that Noach matzah chen b'nei Hashem. Noach found grace in the eyes of God. What is this chen business? What does chen actually symbolize? In fact, the word chen itself alludes to it. It's made up of the letter ches, the 8, and the letter nun, which is 50. 8 and 50 are really the same idea on a different plane. We know the world was made in 7 days. So therefore the number 8 always symbolizes beyond the natural world, the world of the supernatural. Likewise, 50 is 7 times 7 plus 1. It's the idea of the physical world expanded, but again, going above it. So what is supernatural? What goes above it? That's the idea of the neshama, the idea of the soul. So when Noach looked at the world through the eyes of God, he discovered his soul. Having discovered his soul, he realized he was a composite of a soul and a body. And he said, if that's the case, simply servicing my body, simply trying to have physical pleasures without any real ultimate meaning, can't be where it's at. It can't be the bottom line over here. So therefore he began to focus more on his soul, which caused him to adjust his lifestyle and become more spiritual. And as a result of that, God talked to him and told him he's going to survive the flood. What has to happen next? So the idea of being Shomer Chen, that Noach was the Shomer Chen, means that Noach was the guardian. This month of Cheshvan, which is the month of the flood, Noach was the guardian of this perspective, of this concept, which the world required in order to be able to function, to go on, and not suffer another flood after that. That's the Mar Cheshvan, it's a Shomer Chen. It's an allusion to the fact that Noach boarded the ark in this month, but specifically with the task of preserving the concept of chen, which is the concept of the inner neshama, the inner soul of a person, which the world missed the point about. Noach understood, and because of that, he was able to adjust his life accordingly and live and fulfill and work towards the completion of the master plan. What's the connection to Chanuka? How does Chanuka fit into all of this? There's lots of allusions to Chanuka throughout the Torah, the rabbis point out. So for example, Yaakov, he's coming back, he's run away from home. These parshas are coming up now over the next few weeks. They actually correspond with the holiday of Chanuka itself. He's forced to run away from home because he took the next week's parsha, he takes the blessing, he takes the birthright, he buys the birthright from Esav, his brother. He's fine with that, but he takes the blessing as well. This forces Esav to want to take revenge against his brother Yaakov, and Yaakov has to flee. He runs away to Padan Aram, which is Mesopotamia. He spends 14 years first learning in the yeshiva of Shem and Ev, the sons of Noach, or the grandson of Noach, before going out to Mesopotamia, and goes out for another 20 years to live with Lavan. That's where he marries Rachel, and Leah has 11 of the 12 tribes. Returns back, takes 2 years to get back, and actually returns back to Israel in his 36th year. The number 36 once again. And on his way back, he's journeying back to Eretz Israel, and he happens to cross the Yabok River, the river, the northern tributary of the Jordan River, and as he's crossing this river to get back into Eretz Israel, he meets a stranger. And the rabbis explain, the Medrash explains, the stranger was not your everyday run-of-the-mill stranger you bump into along the way. This stranger happened to be an angel. In fact, it was the angel of Esav, because every nation has its own ministering angel. We do, all the nations of the world, all the 70 nations have their own angel. This is the angel of Esav's, of his people, of his tribe, his nation. And he fights the entire night with his angel, and towards the morning the angel says, I gotta go, right? It's my turn to get back to heaven. I gotta sing praise to God, right? Now, ding ding, fight's over. Yaakov says, nothing, do it. You can't go until you bless me, right? So he says, okay, tells him his name. He actually asks what your name is. He says, my name is Yaakov. He said, no longer your name be Yaakov, you'll be called Yisrael. changes the name from Yaakov to Yisrael. The angel goes away, leaves Yaakov, goes back to Shemayim, back to heaven. And Yaakov, the Torah tells us, walks away limping. He walks away limping. But he's quickly healed. As the Torah points out, he passes Peniel, and he's healed. And the Torah says, V'yizrach lo es hashemesh. The sun shone for Yaakov, and he was healed. So the rabbis asked, what precisely healed him? So the Maharil, a commentator, explains, V'yizrach lo. The word lo is spelled lamed vav. The lamed vav has a gematria, the numerical value of 36. So he explains what shone for Yaakov, what transformed him, what allowed him to have a healing from this battle with the angel, the 36 candles of Chanuka. So you can just imagine the scene, right? Yaakov walking away, limping. His sons, rather than go for the first aid kit, bandages, doctor's visits, morphine, they don't go for that. They get the menorahs out, right? They light the menorahs, they stand there by their father, and somehow the light of the menorah heals him. So that's what it's supposed to mean. That's the idea, that the menorah itself healed. What does it mean? The 36 candles of Hanukkah healed Yaakov as he walked away. So before he finished the battle, before the angel left, and he actually asked for the blessing, and the angel turned to him and said, what is your name? He said, my name is Yaakov. He says, no longer will you be called Yaakov, but you will be called Yisrael. Now, normally, we don't always get a definition of what the names mean. Abraham, we're just told briefly why the name changed, but here we actually are given a description. We actually get an explanation of why the name went from Yaakov to Yisrael. So the angel says, "Ki sarisa im Elohim v'im anashim v'tuchal." You fought with an angel. Elohim in this case means a heavenly being, with an angel. V'im anashim, and with people. Right? He had a fight with Esau. He had to survive Lavan for 20 years, and you prevailed. The only question is, normally, if we're talking about tests, we go in ascending order. It should really say, because you fought with human beings, because that, compared to fight with an angel, that's much easier. Angels are from heaven, they're stronger, they have all kinds of supernatural powers. Human beings are difficult, but you can put up with them. It should say you fought with human beings, you fought with, ki sarisa im anashim, v'im Elohim b'tuchal. That's the way the verse should actually read. It doesn't say that. Instead it says you fought with an angel, that was easy, and you fought with people, that's more difficult, and you prevailed. And that's the definition of the name Yisrael. Question. Furthermore, we see also from the Parsha, the Torah, that even though the angel has stated this, the name change is not official. It's only officially changed later on, after Yaakov goes through Shechem and gets to Beit El. So finally in Beit El, that's when God says, no longer will your name be called Yaakov, but it's going to be called Yisrael. That's the confirmation of the name change. Why there? Why then? So the angel, he was actually giving Yaakov a prophecy. He wasn't talking about Esau anymore. He wasn't talking about Lavan in the past. But he says, Ki sarisa im Elohim, because you fought with an angel, that was now. V'im anashim, that's coming up. That's the next test. That's the more difficult test. B'tuchal, and you prevail. And once you prevail, you'll officially be called Yisrael. That, whatever you have to go through, that will change your name officially to Yisrael, the namesake of the Jewish people, since that time into